How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video on the channel with my Range Rover Velar. Been getting a lot of questions recently about some of the things that made us want to buy this car, why I bought it, what I think of it after having it for nearly 2 years now, and yeah, giving a bit of advice on some things that I love about the car and hate about the car. So in this video we're going to start off with 5 things that I love about the Range Rover Velar. I'll tell you them 5 things and why I get on with them the most. So the first thing I loved about this car when it was first released and when I first got it was the whole new technology of these flush door handles. To have a flush door handle, to me, a few years ago when it's released in sort of 2018 or whenever it was absolutely baffling. I really like the hidden aspect to it. It really catches the car's lines, and it baffles people when they try and get in who've never been in the car before. You'll pull up next to someone and they'll go to get in the car and they'll fiddle away at the door handle and not understand it, and then when they pop out, it's always the first thing they mention about the car, how they come out and go from being flush to open it up and just being like that. I don't really like the look of them when they're out, but thankfully they're never out unless you've left the car open. It's also very good for a bit of a reminder when you're leaving the car. You don't leave the car unlocked, because if you walk away you can see the door handle's still out, which shows you that it's been left unlocked. As well as that, obviously, as you can see, when I've came to the driver's side and opened the door, it only opens one side, so this side's been left locked, closed, as for all the other doors have been left closed, which is good. Especially, obviously I've left it too long now and it's closed, but that's good. Living in London, you open the door, only opens one, means only you're getting in, and even when you open the door up, the other doors stay locked, and yeah, that's a great side of it. So that is the first thing. The second thing I loved about the Velar before purchasing was the overall design of the car. I love the whole sleek look to it. Completely new design model from Land Rover. It fits nicely in between the Evoque and the Range Rover Sport and the Vogue. I do like the other models, but something about this, just the size of it. It was obviously the first big car I got myself into, the first SUV, and its size is absolutely perfect, to be honest. You wouldn't want it much bigger and you wouldn't want any smaller. I did consider the Evoque, and really when I think about it, this ticks every box in terms of size and design. Got the big boot, it's got the nice high profile wheels, it's got the nice front grille with the swooping lights coming around the side of the car, which was new at the time. Obviously the profile on the side here with the trim to these LEDs, and they came with the swooping aspect to them, which I really liked when I picked up the car for the first time. It was the first thing I changed on the settings to indicate it as being swooping rather than just the standard flash. But yeah, the design itself, I love the full grille along the bottom. I think it makes the car look a bit aggressive. I've got obviously my shorter plate on it. The grille itself, the stance of it is quite aggressive, different to that of the Sport and the Evoque. The back of the car is one of the nicest aspects for me, so it doesn't have that curved or flat back like some of the other Range Rover models. It comes with this sort of rear quarter that sticks out a fair bit. Obviously after the wheel arch you've got that massive jump out there, the curve down, the slight spoiler on the back of the car here, and then the lights that come halfway around the rear quarter is something I really enjoyed as well. The overall lines through the car I think were really nice. They've got the trim along the bottom here. Apologies for the state it's in at the moment, but obviously the trim along the bottom here is on the aerodynamic line. I definitely wanted the aerodynamic line to have these trim details on the top of the car, side of the car, and then I think the best bit about it is this front grille here, to have these fins as they were at the front of the car. I think it really sets it off. It is manky, to be fair, to go ahead and Spiders Web. It's desperate for a clean, but it has been sitting for a few days under a tree, hence why it's a bit manky at the moment. And yeah, I think that's definitely one of the things I love the most about the car, the design, the difference it was when it first released, and how different it sits compared to other SUVs. And the third thing I really enjoy about this car, which makes it such a great car, is the interior. So as you step inside, you're greeted with the dynamic display in front of you. This center screen up here and the lower screen. When you start up the car, get the ignition on, your car settings here on the bottom, and this top screen has absolutely everything you can need. It comes with the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is a must in cars these days. But you can do everything from browse the web to stick the car in valet mode, view all your cameras on the car, radio, navigation, phone, set favorites, screens, and all this can be edited. You can change the color, change the size, you can view the 4x4 dimensions of the car, your vehicle, all your info of the car comes up. So you can check everything on it, and it's absolutely spot on. I think screens in cars, some cars they work, some cars they don't, but I think this one has done it perfectly. To be able to change all of these settings, so you can change your driver modes, your climate settings, how hard, soft, medium, air purity. Obviously your vehicle, you can change it into dynamic. You got the eco, comfort, grass, gravel, snow, mud ruts, sand, and all your aircon is there for you. You've got your seats. Obviously these are just heated seats, but once you've got the engine on, they'll heat for you. And you've got your climate control, which you can set everywhere, front, rear, back. Obviously the same in the back of the car as well. But I think these screens are just absolutely spot on. They work so well for the car and give it that luxurious feel to it. And it even extends onto the steering wheel. You've got this panel here on the left that'll do everything to do with your display, your digital dash back there, so you can change layouts, vehicle settings, vehicle info, media, driving assistances, your trip computer, and you can do absolutely everything on it, which is really handy. I love the full map display here, and being able to call someone from it. Always go home when you want to change your function. You can change that with function button, as you can see, so you can come back off that. And you've got the voice as well, so if you ever want to make calls, do anything with the car, it can all be done from the voice. This side, cruise control here, so you can set a certain cruise or a speed limiter. You can do the same on this side, cancel limit, and then as you can see here with this little lane, turn that on, illuminates up there, and you have your lane keep assist. So if you've got that on, you're on a long drive, it'll call stay in lane, stay where you want it, and it's really handy, especially when you're on a long boring road. But it's also good for going around corners and stuff. It'll keep you in lane. I wouldn't fly around corners still with it, but it is a good assistance to have. But yeah, I think these are what Land Rover do well is an interior, and I think they've really done well with this interior on the Range Rover Velar. So staying inside of the car then, the next thing that I really enjoy about this car is the ability for all of the off-roading and the capability the car has. You throw the car into dynamic and it's a completely different car than the car that it is when it's on mud ruts. Dynamic, for example, you put it in dynamic, the suspension stiffens up, the steering wheel gets a bit lighter for cornering, the suspension stiffens enough to the point where the body's not rolling too much on the car when you're going around corners or hitting a bump, which is ideal. And your braking seems to be a lot more responsive under it. You also have the sport mode here on the gear selector. That definitely gives the car a bit more grunt, a bit more power when you're putting your throttle down. Eco has an opposite effect. It stiffens a lot of the car up and makes it a bit more rigid. It's a lot less of a comfortable drive, but it's a lot more fuel efficient. The throttle really needs to go down when you're trying to accelerate off a roundabout or pulling out at a junction. You really need to put the foot down while it's in eco, but in return you do get that better fuel consumption for a long drive, say. Comfort is definitely the one I'm in the most and the best one to be in. It keeps the car nice and smooth. Everything seems to be at the right levels. Steering, braking, throttle, suspension, everything seems to be spot on. It really makes it a more luxurious drive and keeps the car just where you'd want it when you're on a nice long drive or through the city or somewhere where the road might not have the best surface. It definitely smoothens it out. You'll hit a few speed bumps or whatever, and you just kind of glide over them, which is ideal. You've then got the grass, gravel and snow program. I've used this on fields before, and I've also had a few experiences where I've been driving in the snow, and this is really, really useful. I see a lot of cars getting stuck in the snow or getting stuck in muddy areas, and this one doesn't have an issue at all. It came through every snow patch we've had here in the UK. Up north, when I was living in Newcastle and Harrogate, it didn't have an issue at all with the bad weather they get, especially when it's wet outside as well. This is a one I put it into quite a lot when it's wet. It does bring up this display here where it gives you your differentiation lock, and it locks the axles, which I won't lie, I have no clue how it all works, but it really does keep the car how it should be, puts power into certain wheels and gets you out of sticky situations. Same with this, I have took the car off-road before. This obviously turns traction control off as it's not looking to build traction, and it also turns off your start-stop and adds this, as you can see at the top there, it's got your hill descent or hill climbs. So if you're going down some hills or steep areas in a hill or field, it'll sort you out like that. Forever, if you're on a mountain, that's the one to go for. And last but not least, it's never been on sand, but I can't imagine it'll have too many problems if it suffices just well at doing everything else. So yeah, the capability of this car on and off-road and the drive modes you can put it in really do make this car something else. Like all of our Land Rovers, that's just an extra bonus compared to other SUVs that don't have the off-road and 4x4 capabilities that can compare with Land Rovers. And last but not least, this one does kind of tie in with the last one. I've got it down as overall comfort of the car and the driving assistances involved in the car. So what I mean by that is when this lets us click through after I've turned the ignition off, if we come onto this display, go onto some vehicle settings, you've obviously got convenience features on the car. So reversing, it'll dip your mirrors for you, which is ideal. So when I put the car into reverse, I'll show you actually. The mirror, as you can see, is up at the moment. As soon as you put it into reverse, the mirror will dip and it'll show you the curb, and it'll do that on both sides, which is really good for a big car or someone who's not very good at parallel parking. It really does make parking a million times easier. And it also, once it's back in reverse, you'll get the camera come up as well, which is very clear. Gives you the lines for the outside of the car, so when you open the door, that's where your door will be or your wing mirror should be, and these two in the middle obviously show you where your tires are going. So you can see my car wheels will be up against the curb there, and that's where the end of my door wing mirror is, so it avoids you clipping anything as you're coming out. Full of the 360 surround parking sensors, so if you put it into reverse or into drive and you park in the car, it'll beep as much as you want it to tell you how close you are. You can turn that on even if you're not, so that's flashing away with parking sensors already. And you've also got this feature which I love, so it parks the car for you. It'll search for a parallel park if you want it to parallel park. It can also do a perpendicular park, which is the one at the right of that. It can then get you out of the parking space as well, which has helped a lot in London. I've sometimes come back to the car and there's two cars, like not the case now, but there's a car in front of us and a car behind us, and I'm jammed in and I'm not too confident getting the car out myself. All you do, put park exit on in the car, you'll sit back like this, put your foot on the brake, and the car's automatic, so it'll just go by itself, cover the brake, and the wheel will spin by itself, and it'll tell you what to do. It'll tell you to put it in drive or put it in reverse, and it'll go forward and back until it gets you out, and it'll tell you when you can drive away safely. And that is a massive thing, especially in our cities. It's helped a lot, and I do use it often when it comes to parking, getting out of parking bays and making sure when I am parking, I'm not curbing the alloys, I'm not hitting anything, and I'm watching my wing mirrors at the same time. Other than that, you also have some of the other options. So you've got the driving assistances, you've got the collision avoidance. Obviously it'll tell us in advance if I'm getting too close to cars You can change the sensitivity of this, normal, medium, high, depending on how you drive. You've then got the auto braking, so if it thinks you're going to get involved into a crash, auto emergency brake will kick in and you'll feel the car physically brake. Not being something I've actually had to experience other than once. A car pulled out in front of us when I wasn't expecting it to, and the car registered. The other car broke sharply, and to be honest, without it I think it would have caused a crash. Cross traffic monitor, so when you're reversing, if I put it in reverse and traffic's crossing from the left and right rather than directly behind us, it'll alert us to that so I don't pull out. So say you're reversing around a corner, it'll tell you that a car's coming up or down a street, which is a really good help if your vision isn't very good. Steering assistance, you can get the lane keep assist on, which is obviously what I was explaining here. As you can see, it's off at the moment, but once I press that, it'll then go on. Speed limit awareness, so I have the traffic sign recognition. There's cameras on the front of this car that'll show you the speed of the street you're on, and you can put a speed limiter on which becomes adaptive. If you want to always stick to the limit, you can go from a 70 road into a 50, and that'll limit you to a 50 mile an hour once you get onto that road. Speed alerts, you can have it giving you an alert when you're 5 mile an hour over the limit, at the limit, 10 mile an hour over the limit. I don't have it on myself, but it could be very useful if you're someone who has points or tends to speed. And then you've got the driver condition monitor, and that all works off how close you get in the cars, whether you're slowing down often, your braking's not going as well. And it'll also happen when you're drifting left and right like that through lanes. It'll tell you that you need to take a break and stop. Yeah, the overall driving assistances and that this car offers you is something else. Going from my old car to this car, it felt like I don't actually need to drive it as much as make driving very, very easy and very simple when it can be difficult. So yeah, that is the fifth and final thing that I love about this car. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. They are the 5 things that I love about my Range Rover Velar. We'll do a follow-up video on this if you want, on 5 things I dislike or hate about the car, because there is things, don't get us wrong, every car has its flaws, every car has things you don't enjoy about it, and every car has something that you'd change if you could, and that's no different with this car. There is things I would want change, but yeah, if you want that video, let us know and I'll get that recorded for you as well. But thanks for watching this one. Hopefully I'll catch you all in the next one. Drop a like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you want to see. Cheers.